If there's anybody there, I just want to check my audio to make sure I can be heard.
Whoever the voice was, yes, you can be heard.
Hi, it's Steve Brown. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we will call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island, and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island and who have embraced this stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original people across Turtle Island. We will now have a moment of silent reflection, followed by the playing of our national anthem. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Okay, if we can start with the adoption of the agenda for August 27th, 2024. Councillor Richo Spagnolo and Councillor Carrick, all in favor? And that carries. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? There being none, if we can get adoption of the minutes of our regular meeting of council held August 13th, 2024. Councillor Burns and Deputy Mayor Capata, all in favor? And that carries. Mayor's comments. It's been quite a busy month in the town of LaSalle, and just last week, members of council traveled to Ottawa for our annual Association of Municipalities Conference. We were fortunate enough to secure 2 delegations during the conference, one with the Minister of Sport and the other with the Minister of Infrastructure. I just wanted to thank administration for the prep work involved in attending those meetings with me to advocate for our town. We have 2 upcoming flag raising ceremonies in LaSalle to mark Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is the month of September. Our Fight Like Mason Foundation flag raising ceremony is this Thursday, August 29th, 1 p.m., and that's going to be held at the Vollmer. And then the raising of the Childhood Cancer Awareness flag at the LaSalle Civic Center, organized by ChildCAN, the Childhood Cancer Research Association, will be held Wednesday, September 4th at 12 p.m., and all events are welcome to all residents to attend. Our second annual Last Call Before Fall event is coming up in just a few short weeks. Tickets are selling quickly, as we expect Saturday to sell out really at any time. Friday tickets are still available, but don't wait too long. Last Call Before Fall takes place at the Event Center on September 6th and 7th. The event includes live music, regional wines, craft beers, premium spirits, and food trucks. You can purchase your tickets on our website at lasalle.ca/LCBF. This is the last weekend of summer break for the kiddies, and as a reminder, kids will be walking to school and bus stops starting next Tuesday. So we are asking our residents and visitors to our community to please slow down, pay attention to signs, and stop for buses when flash signals are flashing. And so we are wishing all of our kiddies from JK through university all the best in your first week of classes. And with that, just a reminder that municipal offices and the Vollmer Center will be closed for Labor Day, which is Monday, September 2nd, and we wish everyone a fun and safe long weekend. The only other comment is Councillor Desjardins will not be joining us tonight. She's on a personal leave this evening. And we can move right into our public meetings, which we don't have. We don't have any presentations and delegations, so we'll go into our staff reports, which is item 1, the Essex Region Source Protection Committee, our municipal representation. And I don't know if there's anyone to ask questions to, if there are any. Is that just amongst council? Okay. So, council, if you've had a chance to review the report in front of you?
Move the recommendation.
Okay, moved by Councillor Burns, support. Councillor Reno, all in favor? And that carries. Item 2, the LaSalle Transit Update and Master Plan. Our Director of Strategy Engagement, Ms. Hodre.
Thank you, Mayor Merlosh. We just wanted to give you, council, a bit of an update about LaSalle Transit. So the service was launched in 2017 for a period of 5 years with Transit Windsor. In 2022, that agreement was extended for another 5 years until August of 2027. Route 25 is named in honor of the LaSalle's 25th anniversary. It offers riders 2 route options operating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday, and a second bus running during peak morning and afternoon hours. There are about 89 stops along the route. It takes approximately 45 minutes for one bus to travel the entire route. And the current route captures approximately 70% of the houses located in our urban area, and that means it's within a 400-meter walking distance to a nearby bus stop. LaSalle Transit follows the same fee schedule as Transit Windsor, starting at $3.75 per ride, with various types of passes available. And in addition, there are a number of special fare days and program days offered throughout the year. Back in 2017, free rides were offered at the time of the launch from September to December. Fares were then collected beginning in January of 2018. Between 2017 and 2019, LaSalle Transit averaged an annual ridership of about 22,800 people. Unfortunately, as ridership was growing, the COVID pandemic hit, and in April of 2020, the service was shut down completely for 1 month. It was then opened again with safety measures in place and at a reduced operation schedule for about 2 years. Between 2020 and 2022, the total ridership was around 32,000. Ridership started to rebound quickly when the service returned to full operation in September of 2022. And in 2022, the overall ridership reached just over 16,800. Bringing us to 2023, LaSalle Transit reached its highest ridership to date at over 31,700 riders. If you compare this to the 2017-2019 annual average, so pre-COVID, 2023 saw an increase of 139% in ridership. From a rider perspective, the highest full cash fare sales are adults, followed by youth and then seniors. More than 20,000 rides were provided to students with passes, followed by passes for adults, seniors, and finally youth. We did attach a report to this as well that gives you more information about the pre-COVID numbers, comparing them to 2023. And in the first 6 months of operation in 2024, ridership is slightly above that same period in 2023. So overall, ridership has exceeded the expectations of what administration expected, and we definitely see a value in the service that is provided to our community. We have also taken advantage of using LaSalle Transit for shuttles for the LaSalle Strawberry Festival, for Last Call Before Fall. This has helped with parking congestion at event sites, and offering the free service to get people to try out the service and to see exactly how it works and where it goes. And through the Ontario Gas Program back in 2013 through the Ontario budget, the Ontario legislature passed the Dedicated Funding for Public Transportation Act. So funding of 2 cents per liter of the gas tax is permanent, and we do receive that annually. That gas tax formula is based on a 70-30 split between ridership and population. And the funding for the gas tax program is determined by the number of liters of gasoline sold in the province during the previous year. So that information is submitted through the Canadian Urban Transit Association annually. Between 2019 and 2023, the town received an average of $281,000 from the gas tax program. On average, in that same period, the net cost for transit service was $225,000, which is funded through our tax levy. And in 2023-2024, the provincial tax allocation to LaSalle was just over $285,000. The net cost for transit was $344,000, again, funded through the tax levy. The increase in that cost is due to the inflation and the rising costs of fuel. The town did receive grant funding in 2020 to be able to purchase and install 10 bicycle lockers. So those are throughout town at bus stops. So this helps to extend the catchment area of transit passengers. So somebody who lives outside the area could actually ride their bike in, lock their bike up, and then get on transit to go where they needed to go, return to the bike locker later to get their bike and return home. We did make one small route adjustment based on a recommendation from Transit Windsor back at the end of 2023. So the route now provides service to the Morton Industrial area. So the bus actually crosses over Ojibwe Parkway onto Morton and does a turn in there. So it allowed passengers that they didn't have to cross Ojibwe Parkway to get to work. Over the past few years, Transit Windsor has made some enhancements to their routes as well, which is encouraging to see that they are interested in expanding and improving the transit system, which will help us as well. So there is an outline in the report of some of the changes that they have made. County connections, our county routes have also improved with the LTW, which is the Leamington to Windsor Transit, which was introduced in 2019, and they just recently extended that contract for 2 additional years. And the Amherstburg 605 was also introduced, which runs from Amherstburg to the Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare Terminal. So between both of those options, riders from LaSalle have the opportunity to travel to Amherstburg, Essex, Kingsville, and Leamington. And this is addition to the connections available at St. Clair College, to downtown Windsor, to Devonshire Mall, and to Tecumseh Mall as well. So our transit feasibility study was completed in 2016. And then the service was evaluated in 2018 and 2019 through the Transportation and Active Transportation Master Plan. So this gave us a preliminary review of the current system and proposed changes that we can consider. Those changes were unfortunately done pre-COVID, and we have a bit more data to go on now. So we definitely need to investigate that again and see what other options we have.
We
Keep
will
going?
just take a quick break to see if we can get things to come back online. Sorry about that. Okay, we will continue with the meeting. Just allow Councillor Burns to take a seat, and then anyone else who wants to join. And Ms. Hodrick, go ahead and continue.
Thank you. So just to conclude, administration will be including a request in the 2025 budget to complete a transit master plan, which would be funded from the strategic planning reserve account. This will review the current service to consider any future enhancements, route changes, operation runtime, et cetera. This process will include community consultation to get feedback from the community who actually uses the service to see what would help them. Doing it in 2025 will give us time to do that research to consider changes before the next agreement, which would be in 2027. I'm available should there be any questions.
Thank you very much. Members of council, any questions regarding that? Councillor Carrick?
Just a quick one in regards to 2027. So the open houses start roughly in 2026 in regards to timing and start time and all other stuff and routes? Would that be fair, that timeline?
Even in the end of 2025 could be a possibility too. So yes, 2025 into 2026.
Councillor Carrick, or Councillor Reno?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to thank you for the report. I do get questions about ridership, and I realize that they have been improving, but having the numbers in front of you, and also having the information about the new connecting routes with the city are all things that help promote a healthy transit system. So thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? No, there being none, the recommendations that the report of the Director of Strategy and Engagement dated July 19th, 2024 regarding a LaSalle Transit update and master plan be received. Moved by Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? And that carries. Item 3 is the Fire Station 2 debt issuance, and we'll go to our Manager of Finance, Deputy Treasurer, Mr. Ferraro.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. The report before you seeks approval to submit an application for a loan with Infrastructure Ontario relating to the construction of Fire Station Number 2. The application is consistent with past practice of issuing debt for large capital projects such as facilities and utilizing Infrastructure Ontario as a lender. The application is for $9 million to be paid over 20 years. The actual interest rate would be set approximately 30 days before the issuance of the debt, which is targeted for mid-February. For illustrative purposes, the report contains a rate of 4.67% from July 24th, which would result in an annual cost of $697,000. That would be funded from development charges, 60%, and from the Fire Master Plan, 40%. Given that the illustrative interest rate was from July 24th, and given the current economic conditions with interest rates dropping slightly, we are hopeful that by mid-January, when the rate will be set, that the rate would be actually lower than it is within the report. But the payment is planned for within the Fire Master Plan and is fully funded from both the Master Plan and development charges, so no effect on the upcoming budget. And I'm available for any questions.
Councillor Carrick?
Just a quick comment. So it's looking great down there. I think it's going to be awesome once we finally finish. I'm glad that you had mentioned that we don't have a crystal ball, but the possibility for interest rates coming down, so we're not locked in. So that gives us till February. Hopefully there's a couple drops between now and then, and that would be even better for all of us. So thank you for that.
Councillor Burns?
Yes, on the debenture, I'd be much pleased if it was 15 years instead of 20 years. So maybe you can go through the rationale why. I don't like to pay interest to anybody. So 15 years means it's done, and then it opens up for future projects versus 20. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Historically, past practice has been to use about 20 years as a repayment. That is what was planned for in the Fire Master Plan. With respect to room, the town, the limit for the town is about $12 million of debt repayment annually, and we're currently at about $3.2 million with this debt payment. So there still is sufficient room should the town and council wish to issue more debt, but the 20-year term was chosen based on our history of of using that time frame for repayment of loans.
Thank you.
If I could continue on that, if we were to make a change to 15 years, would that affect the budget? Because it wouldn't be in the current master plan, right?
Reducing the term to 15 years would likely increase the payment. I did a rough calculation by about $150,000 a year. So we'd have to go back and look at the master plan and see if we could accommodate that within its current structure.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? There being none, there is a recommendation in front of you, and it's that the report of the Manager of Finance Deputy Treasurer dated July 25th, 2024, regarding the Fire Station 2 debt issuance be received, and that the application for a loan with Infrastructure Ontario for Fire Station 2 project for an amount of $9 million with a 20-year term and a locked-in interest rate determined at a point in time at which the debenture is to be issued be authorized. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Riccio Spagnolo. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Item 4 is the reduced rate for schools pilot project, and we'll have our Director of Culture and Recreation, Ms. Pinero.
Thank you, and good evening, Your Worship and members of council. The report before you is a follow-up to the pilot project that we offered from May of 2023 until the end of the school year in June of this year, 2024, to offer a reduced rate for the use of ice time, soccer fields, and baseball diamonds for school-sanctioned events that took place before 3 p.m. And those are non-competitive school-sanctioned events such as gym classes. So we did this for a pilot project, as I mentioned, and we did deem it to be a success. We saw an increase in the rental hours for soccer fields and for softball diamonds. And we have noted that there's been less instances of the fields being used without being booked since the rates were implemented. Therefore, we see it as a success, and we recommend that we continue to offer these rates. We will continue to book the fields adhering to our other policies and practices and based on the availability of facilities, but we do recommend continuing with those reduced rates during school hours. There was a slight increase in rental revenue of less than $1,000 based on this. And that concludes my report. I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, members of council. Councillor Riccio Spagnolo, and then Councillor Burns right after.
Thank you, through you. Just a question, Ms. Finaro. Was this offered for the reduced rates through all of schools, Windsor-Essex County, or just LaSalle?
No, this was offered to LaSalle schools only.
Councillor Burns.
So as, through you, worship, to Patty, does the rate go up as our rate goes up? So if it's $100, we go to 110, they would pay 55? Is that in the agreement?
Yes, thank
Yearly?
you, Councillor Burns, for the question. So it is actually, rather than a rate, it is a discount. So as our rates change, the discount of 50% would still be applied, but so it would be more.
Thank you.
Councillor Carrick.
So just quickly further to that then, so for every rental, there's money that goes from that rental into a reserve for capital down the road investment. How does that work then?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Carrick. Yes, there is, that still includes the capital reinvestment fee at the regular rate that goes into the reserve. It's $5 and change. I can't remember the exact price off the top of my head. And then the reduced rate is on the actual rental fee.
Okay. I just want to thank staff for giving this pilot project a chance. I've heard great things from the schools, and it's nice to see that we have seen such an increase in the usage, but also that our partnership with the schools has improved as well. So thank you for that, and I'm glad we're able to extend this. There's a very long recommendation in front of you that I can read if you guys want me to, or if anyone has something else they want to move. Councillor
Move the
Carrick.
recommendation as presented.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? That carries. Item number 5, we have the 2024 alternating parking request for Oak Ridge. And we're going to have the Manager of Roads and Parks, Mr. Beggs, present this one.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Before you tonight, we have, there's actually 2 alternating parking reports. The first one is for Oak Ridge. The request is similar to other alternating parking requests that we have had in the past. These requests come from residents in the area that call in and talk to our staff and see if the area is eligible for alternating parking. The criteria that we're looking for has remained the same, and it's listed in the report, that the road is a residential road, it is in a residential area, it has a curb, the width of the road does not exceed 12 meters, the posted speed is equal or less than 50 kilometers an hour, and that the area hasn't been considered in the last 36 months. So just for kind of some clarification, like a street like Laurier Drive, for example, would be a street that does not meet the criteria, and we wouldn't even bring that to council for approval. In this case, it does meet all the criteria that we look at, and as in the past, as we've talked about, the reason for having the alternating parking in the first place is mainly for access of emergency vehicles, maintenance vehicles, garbage trucks, EMS, snow clearing, street sweepers, to make it so that we can properly do our maintenance, so that the garbage trucks can get in, they don't have to be going in reverse, and in the wintertime to help with snow removal. Those are the reasons that we are trying to do this throughout town. And tonight there are some delegations here to speak for and against the alternating parking, and I'm available for questions if needed.
Thank you very much. So we did receive 3 requests. 2 are in written submission, and 1 wanted to appear before council. We have Mr. Peterson. If you want to come forward. A written appearing for, okay. So we'll start with Mr. Peterson, and then Mr. Vermette, and Chalaco, okay. Thank you. Do you need Mr. Peterson's address? Yes, please. Okay. Mr. Peterson, if you can turn on your microphone there and then start with your address, please.
Certainly. Rod Peterson, 6455 Oak Ridge Street.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mayor Malash, members of council, administration for the town of LaSalle, good evening. Rod Peterson, 6455 Oak Ridge Street. My wife and I have lived there since 2012. I'm here to speak against the recommendation from administration for a move to alternative side street parking on the entirety of Oak Ridge Street, as found in your report. You can read my written comments at your leisure. On the very back of the sheet is a map, or at least an overview, aerial view of the area, and I'll just speak to that, if you don't mind. So Oak Ridge Street was, a little background, was constructed between the mid-90s to the late 90s. It ended in a cul-de-sac. There are 20 homes on the street at this point, on that particular street, and the road width is 30 feet. Now, I know administration has said that the issue around alternative side street parking relates to emergency vehicles and service vehicles being able to get by. What they don't talk about is minimum widths. They talk about maximum widths. This is 30 feet, and for almost 30 years, there's been no issues related to emergency, construction, service, vehicles traveling up and down that particular part of the original Oak Ridge Street. In the early 2010s, a developer developed an adjacent street parallel to Oak Ridge and connected it with a paved laneway. That particular street, which is part of Oak Ridge Street now, has 10 residents on it, but they built the street 24 feet wide, which you can imagine a fire truck in particular going down that particular road with 2 vehicles parked on either side makes it difficult. The paved laneway is 20 feet wide, so even narrower. So any cars parked on that can cause some difficulty. We're not sure why that happened. That was a decision of an earlier council and administration. Where Oak Ridge Street, the new part, meets Rehome, it starts at 28 feet wide and narrows as you get to the homes that were developed into the early 2010s. Our feeling is that the problem exists for, let's call it Oak Ridge East. I'm sorry because I have handwritten a correction on the, my written comments because I still, after living in LaSalle, get my directions mixed up as to where north is. So Oak Ridge North was the original street. Oak Ridge West, thank you, was the original street. Oak Ridge East is the new addition. And it's that particular stretch of Oak Ridge that causes the problem. I'm speaking against introducing